They told me business class wasn't for people like us. That's how the whole thing started, an offhand comment from a flight attendant, half polite, half insult. She looked at my ticket, looked at my face, then glanced down at my worn sneakers, like they'd just crawled up out of coach and sat themselves in 12E. "We're full today, sir. You'll need to sit here." My daughter Maddie clutched her stuffed rabbit and looked up at me with those big, unsure eyes. She was only 8 and already learning what the world thought of us. I gave her a nod, that little signal we'd worked out over the years. It's okay. Keep moving. We walked down that aisle like we were stepping into a country club we didn't belong in. Suits and silk champagne and side eyes. The kind of people who order truffle fries and complain about the salt. I helped Maddie into 12F next to the window and sat beside her. Her fingers gripped mine tight. That's when the whispers started. A man in a pinstripe leaned toward his buddy and said, "Wrong terminal, looks like." Dry chuckles followed like we were the punchline to some tired joke. I didn't respond. I'd learned a long time ago when you fight every insult you bleed to death by paper cuts. But Maddie looked at me, eyebrows pinched. "Daddy, they don't like us, do they?" I brushed a strand of hair off her forehead. "They don't know us, baby. That's not our burden to carry." Then came the influencer types across the aisle. One raised her phone, grinned at her glass of champagne, and said, "#upgrade gone wrong." Her friend laughed like glass breaking. Maddie sunk deeper into her seat. I reached for her hand, didn't say a word. Just tapped a rhythm, slow, steady, like I used to in the cockpit. 1, 2, 1, 2. She felt it. She knew it meant I was okay, even if the world wasn't. The meal cart came next. Flight attendant handed the guy 2 rows ahead of me a fancy leather-bound menu like she was presenting a royal decree. Then she got to me and Maddie. Her smile disappeared. "I'm afraid menus are limited tonight. Priority guests only." I said water's fine. She flinched a little like she'd expected a fight and didn't know what to do when she didn't get one. Maddie leaned close. "Why are they so mean? Daddy?" I looked her in the eye. "Because they think money means worth. That's their mistake, not ours." She nodded. "Brave kid. Braver than most adults I know. But even bravery has its limits." When the woman behind us leaned forward and cooed, "Don't take it personal, sweetie. Business class isn't for everyone." Maddie's lips started to tremble. I turned around, locked eyes with her. "Kindness doesn't cost extra," I said. "Some folks just can't afford it. And you know what? That shut her up real quick." But here's the thing about silence. It doesn't mean peace. Sometimes it just hides the storm. And mine had been brewing for years. You see, before the janitor keys and secondhand shoes, before the late nights mopping school hallways, I flew. F-22 Raptors, Midnight Viper. That was my call sign. People used to stand at attention when I walked by. Now, they don't even see me. I gave that up, on purpose. To protect a kid fresh out of flight school who should have never been there in the first place. I broke formation, saved him from a missile lock, and in doing so, broke the mission. They called it failure. I called it worth it. I signed the discharge papers without blinking. That story lived in silence, until that flight. Because halfway through, the captain announced we'd be stopping at Travis Air Force Base for emergency refueling. You'd think someone yelled free iPhones, passengers whipped out their phones, excited to snap pics of the jets. Maddie tugged my sleeve. "Is this the base from your stories?" I nodded. "The very one." She lit up like Christmas morning. Then it happened. 2 men in uniform boarded. One of them, a major with a jaw like a sledgehammer, walked down the aisle scanning rows like he was hunting ghosts. And when he got to 12E, he stopped. Midnight Viper. Stand up. I swear the whole cabin stopped breathing. Forks hovered mid-air. Phones dropped. Even the champagne went still. I stood, slow, deliberate. He saluted. Outside the window, the Raptor pilots, all of them snapped to attention. Maddie's voice was barely a whisper. "Dad, what did he just call you?" I looked down at her. Something I haven't heard in a long time. From that moment, everything changed. The influencers stopped filming. The suits stopped smirking. But the whispers, they morphed. From insults to suspicion. "He must have done something wrong," one muttered. "Probably disgraced," said another. "That's why he's a janitor now." Even the flight attendant tried to spin it. Many people serve. Not all leave with honor. That's when Maddie stood up. Little hands clenched at her side, voice trembling but strong. "My dad. He makes pancakes with smiley faces when I cry. He fixes things other people throw away. And he never brags even when people are mean. That's what makes him a hero." The whole plane went silent. I pulled her close, bent down, and said loud enough for them all to hear. "I'd rather carry the stain of failure than send a 21-year-old home in a coffin. If that makes me guilty, then I'll wear it." Then the plane hit turbulence hard. Lights flickered. Oxygen masks dropped. A man collapsed near the galley. Panic set in. I moved without thinking. Dropped to my knees, started compressions. Barked out commands like I had never left the cockpit. "AED now. Count with me, 1, 2, 3, 4. When the man gasped, the entire cabin exhaled. People clapped. Some cried, but I didn't care. All I saw was Maddie. Her face shining with something more than pride. Recognition. "You didn't stay silent this time," she said. "No, sweetheart," I whispered. "Some moments don't let you." After that, no one dared speak ill. But they still didn't understand. Until the storm hit. The captain's voice came over the intercom tight. "Weather over DC is severe. We'll have Air Force escort for final approach." Then, the radio cracked to life. "Eagle 1, to midnight. Viper, do you copy?" The cabin froze. I looked at the flight attendant, said, "Patch me in. Now." I put on the headset. "Midnight Viper here. Copy you, Eagle 1. Outside the windows, 2 Raptors flanked us, guiding us home. The boy with the toy jet stared in awe. Daddy Maddie whispered, "You answered the sky." I smiled, and I won't stay silent again. We landed safe. But the storm wasn't over. Not in here. Reporters swarmed the terminal. Accusations flew. "Why were you discharged, hero or fraud?" I stepped forward. My voice didn't shake. Yes, I broke a rule. I saved a life. Then I stayed quiet to protect others. But silence doesn't protect, it erases. And I'm done disappearing. An officer stepped from the crowd. Saluted. Some of us knew the truth. We never forgot. That was the moment everything shifted. Later, Maddie and I sat on a bench outside the airport watching the sun rise over the city. She looked up at me, eyes full of something fierce. "Daddy, were you scared?" I exhaled. "More than I've ever been. Not of falling, of not being enough for you." She squeezed my hand. "You've always been enough. You just couldn't hear it until now." She was right. I'd carried silence like a shield. But that day, I learned it could also be a cage. Now, I speak. And now I ask you, who else have we ignored because they didn't look the part? Who else have we silenced because their story didn't fit our assumptions? Tell me in the comments, have you ever been judged before they knew your name? Because I was Jack Monroe, janitor father, and Midnight Viper. And for the first time, I'm not hiding.